for my age, I have friends who are business owners who are making a lot of money on trading or whatever. They're really big in the gym, or they were really, really smart and they got into a really good university. I don't know how I'm going to prove this to you. You're going to have to take my word, but I'm going to give you some advice. And as I tell you it, it's all going to become so clear that I know what I'm talking about. Once I was in the gym and there was this guy who I'd seen at this gym like maybe once a year, every Christmas holiday, he came back to this town and he was massive, bro. This guy at one point, he weighed 100 kilos. He was like super big. And when I was talking to him, because I spoke to him a little, he was like repping out 120, 140 on the squats. I was like, bro, that's insane. And I thought he was like pretty intimidating to speak to. Then eventually, after like the third year of me bumping into him and having like a brief chat, I was like, hey, let's go do something. We planned something. We ended up hanging out. And then I ended up showing him around the town that he was visiting because I had a lot of friends there. I still do. And when I started to do this, there was loads of people who I would bump into in the street and I'd be saying hi to everybody. And he's like, yo, Finn, this guy knows everybody. I noticed, like when I showed him, like we were friends, we got along. But when I showed him around, it's not like shallow. It's just, he saw like, oh, I have some value, I have friends. I'm a social guy. I like to have a good time. I like to meet a lot of people. And when he saw that, he really respected it. You could just tell by the way he said like, oh, Finn, he knows everybody and stuff, right? And we're pretty good friends. Like we hang out a decent bit whenever we're in the same town. But the point that I wanted to make here, bro, is if you have, I'm going to share a lot more advice later in this video, but if you have some kind of like wild card value that you can give, which is social skills, like meeting a lot of friends, going to parties, like having invites, that can be your golden ticket. If you're just like an average dude, you're not really good at anything. Because bro, like I have some things that I'm good at. I kept improving those. But in general, I'm like naturally an unathletic, kind of dumbass, like pretty much fuck all kind of guy. But with being more social, it gave me a gift that I could have this special effect. I could meet lots of people a lot easier. Sorry. Anyways, I'm Finn. I help young guys make really good quality friends. I do have a course which teaches you the step-by-step guide that I would take to do this. When you trust me enough, click the link in the description and you can check that out. The thing is, at school, I remembered there was this one guy who he wasn't good at anything. Like from the get-go, from like the early years of school, maybe like early high school, he was not in good shape. Like he was tall, but he was extremely like skinny, clumsy, like lanky. So I think it like balanced that and he was just like, there. And then, yeah, he wasn't that smart. At the start, like over time, I've known this guy, he's improved himself. So don't get me wrong. But at that time, he had pretty much nothing going for him. Except he was so social. He was so funny. Everybody loved this guy, bro. He got invited to every single party. He had a great time. He didn't like quite crack, a girlfriend. Like, I don't mean crack. Like, I mean, he didn't like crack the code of like, oh, all of a sudden, like girls want to speak to you. Like girls. What I'm trying to say is he didn't get much attention from girls. I don't know if that's like changed, but it like, from what I know, he doesn't really know how to talk to girls. And I found that really interesting, right? Because I had a similar experience when I had just started off, when all I could do was I could be really social. And that's when I realized if you want to start like attracting girls, which everyone does, you don't need to like sleep with every single girl you talk to, but you want to talk to more girls in general. Why don't you just use it as like an evil motivator that when you improve yourself, you get more girls. Like it just happens. Of course, you need to speak to them. That's why I'm saying the golden ticket method is to be this super social guy. Low-key work on it now because you might immediately like be good enough, good looking enough or whatever, and you just skip all of the steps and you start getting loads of attention from girls. There's no point of like becoming successful if you don't have any friends and you don't know how to speak to a girl. Like all of that is kind of low-key a bit of a waste if you're rich as shit and you don't have any good friends. So what I recommend to you, bro, what if you just went out and you became that like super social dude, which it may not happen naturally, like it may take time, but luckily, you got me and I'm going to give you that advice. But Then if you add on top of that, you're in the gym consistently, or you're working on becoming really good at a sport that's popular at your school, then bro, it's game over in the later years of high school. Game over. You just absolutely dominate, bro. I mean, I have found, like, personally, I measured myself on like 3 big holidays. The first big holiday was, so these are the summer holidays every year. The first big holiday, when I had gone to boarding school and then I was visiting my hometown for a holiday, then I slowly started to have like some crazy good ass experience. Then the next year I had some crazy good ass experience as well. But those 2 summers was after I went to boarding school, after I started improving myself. What about the summer before that? That one is very different, bro. I had a horrible summer the year before. I didn't have any really good friends that I trusted. I wasn't in good shape. It was horrible, bro. Like, I genuinely hated that holiday. I'm telling you, in like 1 year, you can completely change your life. You know, you may not be like a multi-millionaire if you're not that kind of guy. If you're not the kind of guy who has like big entrepreneurship dreams like I do, that's fine. But I can promise you that you have the potential to be like that popular guy at high school, the guy who had like no problems being treated amazingly by everybody. And as an outcome of that, you can make some really high achieving friends. But the thing is, bro, you still, like, I'm telling you that you have your golden ticket is to become really social with a good mentor like me who teaches you exactly how to do it for your age practically. But what I haven't told you is, how do you get to like actually achieving more in life? I am not like the guidebook to answers for this one, because although I've made great progress in a lot of different things, I am not like yet a multi-millionaire. I feel like I have more confidence to speak about it when I've made a bit of money online. Like, I've made a little bit, but I haven't made like 10K, 20K yet. When I have made those, then I'll give like some more specific advice. But what I can tell you for now is, if you don't even have a goal that you're working towards and you set like smaller goals, achievable actions that you can do daily, then you're definitely not going to hit any of your goals. I think the basics is just get in the gym, bro. Like, if you're not in the gym, respectfully, it doesn't matter how fast you progress, but just go, just train at least 3 times a week, weightlifting. And if you don't want to be like that super social guy, see, unfortunately, you're not going to get the same level of status unless you do some kind of like really hype thing. You know, you get like a shit ton of followers online. You get like a really big business, and then you can buy tables, and then it's easier when you're a high achiever. Or you can just become really social, and then when you become a high achiever as well, you're like the top 0.1% of all fucking men on the planet. And so that's why that's why I'm teaching what I'm teaching, because I feel like I've been so advantaged by being a social guy. I know how to talk, and that has gotten me out of so many bad situations. Now, one thing I want to teach you, if you want to make some good level friends, you got to forget weird as a concept. You know, in high school, everyone says, oh, that guy's weird. He's weird. Weird is some dumbass, like, fucking concept. I don't care if you're weird. Like, if you're my boy and you're weird, it's low-key, like, minor bonus points. But you have to have good social skills, bro. Like, when I'm talking to somebody and they can't have a conversation with me, some people call that weird, and that's, like, why I think this is such a dumb concept, because weird gets confused with, like, poor social skills is weird, but there's other things that are called weird that aren't actually like a bad negative thing. And so that's why I'm telling you, bro, forget weird and just change the whole, like, reframe all of that to just poor social skills. Because if somebody can't like have a conversation with you and you can't enjoy your time with them, then it's like a little bit hard to be friends with them, especially if they're not working on it. And you just won't have as good of a time. Whereas with some friends, they had like the basic social skills since they were a kid, so that when they have with their really close friends, they can completely come out of their shell. They may not be social with everybody, but they'll be social with at least you, and then you can really get along with those people. In high school, they don't get called weird most of the time because they have those basic social skills. But there are some people who are just like from a different country, or they're learning the language, or they're going through something at home, and then they get called weird because they're acting like with poor social skills, but it was actually something else that caused that. Or they're like trying not to speak to anybody because they think like they're too locked in, but I mean, they're going to make progress and become better in life, but maybe they made like one small decision which was a little wrong, which was to not be friendly. And so I think that fuck weird, that's a shit concept. Just think, does this guy have shitty social skills? Does this guy have loyalty? Is he funny? Like, you don't want to be friends with some geek. You know what I mean? Like, he can't even have a conversation. I don't care if you're a nerd, like studying a lot, like crypto guy. But like, if you don't even have like good character, you're not loyal, you're not like working on yourself, you're not healthy. That's what I would like to change in your mind what weird should be defined as. It should be changed to those things. Weird should not be just you're different. Because a lot of the time in high school, there's just some kid from Italy who comes sometimes and everyone thinks, oh, this guy's like a bit weird because he's not social. But if he just became social, all of a sudden this guy would be like a big G, you know? You may not understand that, but just keep it in mind and you'll see it present itself over your high school life. That's all I have to say for today. If you want my step-by-step guide to make better friends, click the link in the description. I am doing a free call with anybody who's on the fence about buying at the moment. I have the time right now. Like, I'm very busy, but don't get me wrong. But I will make time to like have a 30-minute call with my loyal followers who really want to improve themselves. Because that's my mission, bro. I want to see people do well. Have a good day.